Links to join the channel here over at Subscribestar. Thanks to everyone over at Throne. I will show that in a community post. So, play dragon game, get lecture on trans pronouns from probably a bunch of weirdos at BioWare. First of all, in case you're not zoomed in on there, Zem have scars under her chest. Must be cancer, I'm sure. Well, it's cancer one way or the other. So first of all, some people have been saying that the game is woke, but they're quick to point out they don't have a problem with diversity. It's the pronoun, then the BLT nonsense, and let me say it's both. You know, if we're just being honest here, diversity, feminism, all the whole BLT, gay agenda type of stuff, that just doesn't belong in games or movies or kind of anything in the public sphere. I don't know why more people aren't just honest about this. I mean, if more people spoke like me, I think the world would be a much better place. Just make different things for different people because everybody hates inclusion. I mean, we should start being honest about that as well. We had crystal clear evidence of that for the past few years, if you know what I'm talking about. It seems like what all that inclusion stuff and diversity means is that you're combining elements for different people all in one story. So on the face of it, it seems ridiculous because normal people want normal things. They don't want what, some teenagers think is whatever the current Bolshevik fad is that the 15 to 24-year-old crowd is on board with. And then once they get a little older, they go, oh, this was absolutely absurd. Yeah, don't you regret that silly tattoo? Yeah, I sure do, but I really miss my testicles. So all this stuff is the DIE, the SEGs. That means diversity, inclusion, equity, and I don't know, globalism, environmentalism. It's just woke Frankfurt School buzzwords. It means that they race swap everything. There's been like thousands of race swaps. And blonde man, of course, bad. It's South African again. Hey, a blonde German. Hey, a blonde Russian. Wow, this is getting kind of weird. I mean, once you notice, you just don't stop. Or a lot of sodomy and monkeypox and maybe some AIDS in there as well. So the big picture is after they ruined Hollywood, and they have, the audience is finally starting to disappear from the mainstream Hollywood. Now they're coming after video games with this woke propaganda. And here they're pushing the BLT stuff because they want to brainwash kids into going down that route of removing parts. They need to make more little people of the light, or to encourage sodomy, because let's get graphic. That doesn't produce babies. It just makes a mess. So these people are the anti-life equation, shape-shifting demons from beyond time and space, and this is pretty much going to be the future of Hollywood games, comics, whatever is touched by the woke Larry Fink types, the investment type of companies. This is an interview. He goes, you got to force change behavior with our venture capital. It doesn't matter that you don't buy this stuff. If they saturate the market, the next generation will grow up with this propaganda, and eventually they'll think that prior generations were terribly istophobic because they dared to complain about characters having scars from removing their mammary glands in a magical fantasy setting. Or what was it in D&D? There's a chick in a wheelchair. You go, that's a wooden wheelchair. Okay, I guess that fits the setting. But her legs are like super muscular and shredded. And you go, well, that doesn't work. I mean, you can't have shredded. How? It's magic. Then why is she in a wheelchair? I mean, at least you could have like an exoskeleton that's powered by spells or something. Anyway, this is how multi-generational brainwashing happens, and the proof is they did it to us, unfortunately. Yes. Well, if you're like, there's a percentage on YouTube of the base community. It's like you're probably not brainwashed, but a lot of earlier generations have been brainwashed. Now you've been brainwashed into holding the values that Hollywood programmed you to have, not your own values. And before you jump down my throat at that, like, start looking at what your grandfather's values and your values, and like, are you really a conservative? What are you conserved? But things are happening so fast now. I kind of wonder what's going to happen with all this. They might not be successful because now there are just so many non-woke based Chad alternatives to globalist, coomer, consumer, mainstream, AIDS, cancer. Hurry up and buy the next thing. Don't dare criticize it because you're istophobic. Like, oh, okay, yeah, we get it. You said that, but this is still cancer. Because they're pushing things with such obvious propaganda and so far removed from what most people want. A tiny percentage of people think they're trans or even BLT at all, yet it's being pushed in everything. I gotta assume it's a bridge too far for people, but you never know. I mean, the most powerful brainwashing tool on earth is repetition of a message, and using a TV to do that has for a long time been very powerful. And now TV's on the way out. I mean, it's definitely on the way out, but it's just moved to a tablet, and with streaming shows, and now as video games have become much more movie-like, well, they just move the propaganda to that. But for some reason, it's not really working in the video games as much, probably because people have to pay more for each individual game. That might be why, or it might be that the people who are playing the games are just, whether they're on the left or the right, it feels like there's a lot less political correctness in Call of Duty, Halo rooms. So the era of escapism is games, and the woke crowd is probably playing like Candy Crush or something. I don't know if they're playing first world shooters. Maybe they are the open world type of stuff. So the era of escapism in games is over. It's every once in a while I'll play a car racing game on a cell phone. I'll download it. It's like 5 gigs, and I'll play it for a week, and then delete it, and I'll do that like once a year. So escapism, it's either kind of feels like it's been over in Hollywood since the early 1960s, or really even never existed, because Hollywood, I mean, because almost from the start, Hollywood has been propaganda for a long time. Maybe Gone with the Wind might not have been. I don't know. I don't remember what year that was made. The thing is, every narrative is coming from someone's personal bias, and for a long time, the games at least were pretty well normal. You had some hot chick running around taking out the zombies, what's her face, Resident Evil, with a variety of weapons, or rescuing artifacts from the Taliban to safely keep them in the British Museum. You guys stole everything! Yeah, you're going to destroy it anyway. I mean, it's like what the Taliban and Antifa and BLM were doing. They just destroy the past. Yeah, but it needed to be. It's good when Antifa does it, but it's bad when ISIS does it. It's like it's still destroying artifacts. But the chick in tight clothes with a great body upsets the feminists for some reason. I think the female form upsets them because when you have a tiny waist and curvy hips and big milkers, that's the ideal healthy female form. It's the young mother, the young lover to mother, goddess of fertility, that the ideal totem type of thing. And it's I mean, you can't, like the anatomy, you can't be faked. It's like when you see somebody walk, that skeletal structure is like clearly male or female. And yes, there's only two. It's one or the other. It's genders derived from sex, and it's a binary. It's you are what you were born as, and you can't be the other. It's all this stuff you're going through is just a fad. Whether you're in that community or not, you really want to think twice about cutting anything off. Don't make permanent decisions that can't be undone. You just, like, once those body parts are gone, they're gone forever. You'll never be able to breastfeed a kid. You'll never be able to reproduce if you're male. It's like, yeah, just hold off on that. You want to cross dress, have yourself some fun. Yeah, all right, go try that lifestyle for a little while, but don't do anything that can't be undone. You can wash off lipstick. I'm sure it's a lot of fun, but keep your body parts, and maybe you might change your mind in the future. Like, oh, hey, the biological clock is ticking. Thank God I can still have kids. Anyway, so all this stuff is the right-hand path versus the left-hand path, where the seed going into a fertile garden and new life springs forth. It's the path of light, and it makes these lizard people absolutely outraged, because anything good to the right hand is just like a cross to a vampire. So they David Bowie everything with the androgynous Bolshevik found family to make the women look like men and promote children rejecting their family and their tribe, the Natal, the nation, because that destroys globalism. So they're like the breakers in the Dark Tower in Book 7, where they constantly chip away at the ties that bind reality or civilization. Speaking of the Dark Tower, holy, I don't know if I'm sure you read the books, but I don't know if you saw the movie. They remake it, and it's they go to some small town, like in the Gunslinger, the Book 1, and it's a small western town based on the Clint Eastwood type of movie, spaghetti westerns. And in this town, in the movie, it's an Asian woman with a black guy, and then the Clint Eastwood character is also black, and all these like clearly distinct groups in a town that is in a universe that's been moving on. It's like, so this Chinese lady and the sub-Saharan African guy, they just came to this town in this generation because if they've been there for 600 years, they'd all look alike. Oh yeah, don't ask questions of propaganda. You're istophobic. It's like, yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Anyway, so they've been doing it with Hollywood since post-war. Once you put on the sunglasses, Carpenter's, they live. You can see it's almost always been propaganda. But finally, Hollywood is starting to lose the audience, at least with the superhero genre that I pay attention to. I mean, less so now because it's falling apart. It was, when the superhero genre, I don't know when you want to say it really kicked off, but I'd say the phase of it kicking off was in 2008 with Iron Man. It's like, yeah, there was, 78 Superman and a bunch of other kind of stuff. Remember Steel with who's that basketball player? Or Blade. Blade was good too. And like I watched Blade, went back and saw Blade. It's like, those special effects are so dated. That the fight scene is so dated. It's like, so the guy's, I don't know, he's in his 50s. It's like he could still play the role. It'll be more of a cerebral role. It's like, unfortunately, he's male. He's but he's black. Doesn't that count for something? It's like not enough. Doesn't balance out the male. We want a little pox girl to play the role. It's like, yeah, nobody wants that. Yeah, but that's what we're gonna give you. It's like Wesley Snipes, I think is his name. It's like just give Snipes one last movie, Blade 4 with this, modern day special effects. Just give him the last movie. Let him, have that. I mean, he could still be in the Marvel universe as he was in the last Deadpool Part 3 movie. No, we're gonna cancel that. Why would you? I mean, make it for like $150 million, and the odds are very good you're gonna make a profit. We're gonna go the Riri Williams route, and you're gonna lose $50 million because that's the way superhero movies are going with all this kind of Madam Web and the Marvels. They just came out a couple of years ago, and they both lost a ton of money. And though Venom 3 is losing money too, so who knows if that'll pick up an audience or not. People just want to take a break from reality and have their Friday night video game session with their, get the headset on, smoke a J, have their sparkling water, but instead they get sodomy and pronouns and characters who are removing their milkers. So looking at this, from what I see, it's going to bomb because people are aware of woke games now, like Dustborn and Concord, where there's a line in there that go, "We're the newborn, the new prawn," because the idiots who made the game decided to combine those things because they're filthy, degenerate parasites. And most people have an internal filter. You go, oh, hey, our rhyme includes babies and adult prurient activity. We should probably fix that line because you don't want to combine those two things. It's awkward, And they look at you like, what are you talking about? It's okay to sexualize babies, and realize you're talking with people who don't have that internal filter. A lot of these people are mentally ill, broken left-wing people who are really far removed from reality. Anyway, so most people are not into lectures on the LGBTQIA. Where's the P? Don't worry about it. It's coming. Yeah, I'm sure it is. Most people are just not into that. As a queer trans women, I have a perspective on the game. So how many of those QT women's are buying video games? Like almost none. Well, okay, is it enough to sustain a very expensive game? Absolutely not. So, well, what happens? We're making a game for an audience that doesn't exist. Yeah, Hollywood's been doing that. Comics did it. And now video games are doing it. By all means, accelerate this. The you can't turn this around, but you can accelerate. That's accelerationism. You just step on the gas and help them to lose as much money as possible. So they someone else can step in and make something new. But these original companies, including a monster company like Disney, have got to become so weakened that someone else can buy them out or buy some of the properties or just buy the entire company. I think someone said Apple could do. But if they continue losing, market capitalization, then smaller and smaller companies can get in there. Anyway, this is all. Somebody on social media was saying something because we took away they took away the words R slur and G slur from us. They're controlling the words and they get us to self censor that this is how we got here because we can't call things as they are, and I think there's a lot of truth to that because you if you remove words from the common lexicon, then you're changing the way people think about those words because they refer to things or ideas or concepts, and there's a lot of truth to that. It's like you think how you talk normally when you're safe to talk. It's like you use all those slurs because they accurately describe things. But in this, on YouTube and social media, mainstream social media, you just can't use that kind of language. But it's so you have to, Though I will say, like, words like soy have come to mean quite a few things. Anyway, it's great to know that you made a game for probably 1/10 of 1% of the population. That's just the way so I hope I hope it loses $50 million. I don't know what the budget on it. It looks like a high budget game. So I hope they lose a ton of money and the company goes out of business, and I hope Ubisoft follows them. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks to everyone over at Throne for the coffee, and someone got me a new wireless keyboard because it actually wear out really quick, and a hand cranked generator, very cool, and a USB flash drive. Thank you for that, and I'll see you guys all next episode.